Hey, everybody. We're live, pal. Hope everyone's having a good week with the holiday nearly upon us. Andrew, it sounds like you're hosting a pretty big event on Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, I have like 20-something people coming to my house. I got 2 turkeys. I'm doing one on the grill outside, spatchcocked. We're allowed to say that. We're not on the radio. I got a spatchcock turkey going outside. I got a regular traditional one going inside. I have to brine both of the birds tonight. I have to start getting the brine ready so it's cooled off by nighttime, by the daytime, and I could set it in the brine. It's crazy. The amount of work that goes into Thanksgiving is out of control.
It's an amazing process. I'm impressed that you're doing all of this as well. So good on you. We are not. We're just having everything catered. So we're
You're
taking the
doing it the
easy
smart
way
way.
out. But it's mostly for anxiety reasons, right? You on Thanksgiving, you want to spend time with your family, and you want to spend less time worrying about stuff. So that's why we do it. But I always marvel at folks like yourself. I mean, that's my mom. My mom, who is probably only serving, I don't know, I'm going to guess less than 10 people. She'll still wake up at 4. She'll still do every single bit of it
Everything.
by herself. And by the time it's like noon or 1, everything will be ready to go. Like I marvel at that. So no, it'll be fantastic. I am making Manhattans for folks
Nice.
who come over. So that's our holiday drink here is a Manhattan. And
It's
yeah, it
funny, I'm
should be a
making San
blast.
Jose's here. I'm making
What?
San Jose's all day. So, it's funny. That's a weird coincidence.
Do you know the way?
How many people come over for you?
It's just Crystal, myself, my stepkids, my kids. I think only one of the significant others is coming. The other one has got family stuff, and then my ex-wife, her significant other isn't coming. So it's actually going to be a little bit smaller, but we do it early because when your kids get older, they have other families to celebrate with. So we try to get
Yeah.
ours done early so that it frees up the evening for everybody else. But yeah, it's going to be a blast. It's always
Yeah, we do.
fun when all of the kids are together under the same roof.
What ends up happening in my house, people stop by before Thanksgiving. So, before the 2 o'clock, RSVP time, by around like 11 o'clock, everybody's stopping by to say hello. Okay. They'll come by, they'll have a drink, whatever. And then after dinner, we get another group of people, like about 6 or 7 people that show up after dinner to come and hang out, for cocktails and like they pick at food and stuff.
Dude,
My
that's
house
fun.
is an open door. Like people are in and out from 11 o'clock till about 8:30.
Sounds like a blast. Yeah, as long as you have the energy for it, and as long as your wife has the energy for it, it sounds like so much fun.
Listen, I pull off a Zarian. You know what it is? I go, all right, guys, I'll see you later, and I go to bed. That's it. I end the party that way. I'm in bed. You can stay. You can do whatever the hell you're doing. I'm going to bed. I'm over it.
It's like my aunt when we would have big parties at her house. Once she got the broom out, we're like, okay, she's telling us in her own way, she's ready to go. It's time to get out of here. Before we actually get into wrestling shenanigans, every time sometimes I'll read something and I go, "Huh, I need to ask Andrew about that." Now, in this case,
Yeah.
it's not really wrestling related, but it is around our topic of you've told me about some of the things you do for your own physical health and mental health. I just read a story, and it's actually by an author who I follow because he also writes about wrestling stuff. His name is Oliver Lee Bateman, and it is on creatine. Where are you with creatine?
I'm a big supporter of creatine, real high quality creatine, not the bogus stuff. Because there's so much stuff out there that has fillers and it's not really great. I'm all for it. I don't do creatine because it bloats me and I get
Hmm.
really swollen on it. I haven't done creatine in a couple of years. I know the benefits of it. It works. Um, I just haven't been on it. I don't do a lot of the amino acids. I don't do the creatine. I'm not working out at that level.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to put on size. I don't want to get bigger. I just want to stay at this size.
Hmm.
Um, that's what I tell my wife. I want to get big. I just want to get really big, like crazy big. I just don't have that dedication, but it works. I mean, that stuff is tremendous. And the new It's not what it was when we were taking. Like when I was like out of high school taking creatine and I would do androstats and I would do all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's so much better now. It's so much better everything. Even listen, steroids, right? HGH. You used to see people like, "Oh, that guy's on HGH. Oh, it's so bad for you." I'm on HGH. I take some Moreland. I'm on TRT. So it's not technology, but medicine has advanced so much where we're far smarter about this stuff, and we're able to know the doses for sizes and everything else. I know I went down a rabbit hole, but yeah, I like creatine.
So the reason why I brought this up is because this article suggests that creatine is it's still used in, for weight training purposes, but there might be benefits to it that are even more than weight training related, and such as it's kind of like the maybe just as important as taking a multivitamin, and supposedly possibly has some good effects on brain as well. So I just never heard that, and much like you, I took creatine probably, gosh, and started taking it in college, and there were risks involved because you could read some things and it's like, oh, it's not great for your kidneys. And I think if you do have kidney issues, it's probably maybe smart not to take it. But the whole nutritional supplement industry, especially back then, people that there wasn't really lots of testing going on. But
No.
so now, because what I would do, the way I would use it is, if I was lifting consistently, I would take it every day while I was lifting. But if I stopped lifting for whatever reason, like I have this shoulder lat injury right now, so I've had to stop doing pretty much anything upper body. I was like, oh, well, I don't need the creatine because I'm not doing the lifting. But this article suggests that it might just be good for everyday usage, like a multivitamin. So Oliver is a smart guy. He's a very well researched guy. So I reached out to him. Actually, he reposted it, and then I reached out to him, and I was like, "Hey, yeah, I didn't know any of this stuff." And he says he's been taking it. So I just had never heard that. So I wanted to know if you had heard anything
No, I
about
mean
that.
it comes in creatine naturally. Most people get it from. I mean, everybody has creatine in their body. If you eat meat, if you eat seafood, you consume creatine. It's a byproduct of it, right? So
Yeah, you're basically adding. It's additive to the what your body produces, because your body
yeah.
doesn't produce a ton, so you're adding more.
By the way, I'm dealing with a shoulder problem right now.
Yeah,
It's
getting old
brutal.
sucks,
It's
man.
brutal. Yeah. Just tell me
By the
about
way,
it.
by the way, I have been to Dave Meltzer's house many a time. That is the only supplement I've ever seen Dave take, and he doesn't even really take it religiously, is creatine.
Really, he's a
Yeah.
creatine fan.
He's not even a protein powder guy.
Can you imagine if he went on some peptides? If like I want him to go on some Moreland. I
What would
want him to
happen
go on
is
TRT.
his traps would cover his
Just
ears.
it would
Is
go up
what
to
would
his
happen.
ears. Yeah. Oh God.
By the way, I don't know if you heard the other day, Brian and Dave, after Dave was gone for a week, so we didn't have Brian and Dave for a week, and they were going over something, and Brian stole our catchphrase, man. Dave wanted to go grab some papers, and Brian was like, "No, I got it." It was probably some Rampage spoilers or something. Dave's like, "Nope, they're on my desk," and Brian goes, "We're live, pal." Dave, so. All right, let's get into some wacky wrestling, the world of wacky wrestling. The first thing I wanted to ask you about, did you see these Ricky Starks quotes from his interview with Chris Van Vliet?
I saw some clips this morning. I haven't seen the full interview, so I don't want to. I don't know if it was taken out of context or what, but it was an interesting. I mean, he said a lot of interesting stuff.
And so then I think Sean had a report at some point today as well, that his contract actually runs through like the middle of next year.
Yeah, May.
That's wild.
Yeah, it seems like it's May, and I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, first of all, him being on ice is so bizarre, like especially when they're starving for real good acts on that TV. I mean, they
Yeah,
have
they could use
tremendous
the
roster,
star.
but
They could
they
absolutely
could
use his
use
star
it.
power.
They could use
Absolutely.
it for sure. And not to diminish anybody else on that roster, but how is this like what is going on there? It can't be we don't have anything for you. It has to be more than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be whether or not there were frustrations voiced, whether or not there was, arguments around creative. He's got friends in WWE, so maybe there's thought that he's just going to leave them when his contract is up. But like, so what? Like, I mean, honestly, if you're Tony, you do have a little bit of PTSD from Cody leaving, right? So you're like, oh
Yeah.
man, we can't create that opportunity again. So if we push Ricky to the moon and then he leaves, then we've just created this thing again. But he doesn't have to be the top guy. Like you could still utilize him. So I wonder if it's a personal thing. I don't know that no one will really say. Ricky says that he's not hurt. He's fine. He doesn't really have a reason why he's not being used. I don't know. Maybe he should just come back as a spoof on all the internet rumors. He should just come back as the double agent Ricky Starks.
I'll tell you though, we were talking about this. I was talking about this with Rich earlier. Him going to NXT and being in that mix would be tremendous. And not that he's an NXT. I'm not saying that he's an NXT level guy. I don't think Ethan Page is an NXT level guy. I don't think a lot, of what we thought of NXT. I mean, it's a competitive show now. And weekly, it's being very competitive with AEW's viewership. I mean, they're virtually even or they're beating them.
Yeah, viewership wise, they're pretty close. The AEW still has a little bit of a higher 18 to 49, but for the most part,
Viewership wise, yeah.
they're
But
close.
why not? Why not have Ricky on there feuding with Ethan or whoever else? There's so much talent over there, and they would benefit by having him there.
Yeah, I think, I mean, but also if you're Ricky and you've been iced for all this time, unless you just don't want to wrestle, which I don't think that is the case for him.
Yeah,
He's probably, he's got to be like, but yeah, okay, here's the other thing. And this is something to wonder. Is Tony killing his market value by not using him? And when the time comes for him to leave, he's only got one suitor in WWE, and they're like, "Look, we know that AEW doesn't want you, so you're worth less to us now." That's kind of a downer.
I don't know. I don't know if Tony thinks that way or not. I
don't know if he does either.
know?
I'm just saying the optics of the scenario, because
The optics are not good.
Yeah, what's really driven this market is the idea that both companies want these wrestlers.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you when Adam Copeland said what he said on that show with Ricky in the ring, I honestly, it killed him. It killed him. It killed him for many people, including me. That was a brutal line, and it just diminished everything he had done.
And what Ricky said that was interesting about that whole segment is they had, I think, I don't know if CVV asked him this or not, but it's something. The question was around if they had gone off script. He's like, off script? There was no script. So there was. I'm sure. Hopefully, they were given like some bullet points or something as far as what they were supposed to talk about. But that sounds not great for protecting the characters there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, it's unfortunate, right? But it happens in every business. There are people that are really good, and then something happens and it derails everything, and it doesn't work out. We see that all the time. Maybe this is one of those cases. It just did not work out.
All right, we got to talk about CM Punk.
Yes.
I was just thinking about him because on the Fight Game podcast, myself and John LaRocca, we were talking about how, WWE has set up this War Games thing, and it's really interesting, and how, they don't even have Punk and Drew McIntyre back yet. And, there could be places for those guys on the roster, but they're kind of, creating opportunities and leaving those guys out for other people. And then Punk shows up on Friday, which was a great surprise. And it almost felt like they're like, okay, AEW is a pay-per-view this weekend. We're about to steal their thunder here with this Punk thing. It's like that was absolutely all everyone was talking about on Friday night, and Saturday was Punk. I thought it was so well done as well. And I'm sure that he'll come on SmackDown Friday and they'll explain why Roman got ghosted by Paul Heyman and why Punk was the guy. And, they'll explain all of that stuff. But also what I was wondering, what is the match for both men come WrestleMania? Because if they do this correctly in War Games, there's going to be a fervor for a Roman Reigns CM Punk match coming out of this as well, I think.
Oh, for sure. And they've teased it a couple times. They've teased it in the past. Remember when he said, Roman, I acknowledge you. He cut that promo.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the time when Paul Heyman was hiding behind Punk and he said, take me with you.
Yes.
So, there is that connection. I mean, unless Brock's coming back,
They did mention him on TV yesterday. They mentioned his name.
Yeah, I would not, I was thinking about this. I would not have been shocked if it was Brock instead of Punk in that War Games. That would have been a forget about the Brock situation, right? But I'm saying like Brock as a character. That would have been an interesting level to add to this. I think it's fine that it's Punk. I think that's a positive. You're building to possibly a future program with Roman. WrestleMania is coming on. We don't know what Dwayne is going to do. I don't want to see Dwayne and Cody. I want to see The Rock and Roman. That's the story that I want to hear. I want to see.
Yeah.
I don't know where that leaves Punk though. Is Punk attempting a world title? Do they want to put the title on him? Do they need to? Where is he going to be placed?
Seth. They still have that match
for the title.
Yeah. I mean,
and who's the heel?
If the title's put back on either one of them, because right now it's on Gunther or Priest. I'm assuming Gunther's going to win, but who knows? Yeah. But the fact of the matter is that there are many things that they can do. Like CM Punk versus Seth Rollins at the pay-per-view is one way to go. CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes is another way. CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. There's multiple things for each of these men, which means to me that the creative has a lot of people who are hot and that fans want to see wrestle each other. So there's so many things that they could do. And like you said, with The Rock and Cody, that's adding another thing. And if you do add The Rock back, then it pushes one match maybe to the summer that you could prepare for in a big way. So WWE's in very good hands when it comes to that. They're
smart with that stuff. By the way, Pro Wrestling Joker, he gave a
my guy. That's my guy.
Your boy. Great to see you guys back. Missed the show. Schedule's been rough, man. Been a really rough schedule. I think WWE right now is in a very good position. I think CM Punk coming back really helps them going into, it kind of is a lull period between now and Royal Rumble. But you have to remember, there's a couple things happening here. You have Saturday night's main event that's going to take place, and that's going to be a big event in December.
So right now, what is that? It's Roman. It's Cody and Kevin Owens, and then the or the finals of the U.S. Women's Title Tournament. That's all we know about that show, I think.
Yeah, I will not be at the Nassau Coliseum. It's too much wrestling.
Oh man,
dude, I can't do all of them. I can't do that, the Garden House show, and 3 nights at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
You're going to all 3 nights?
I'm going. So I'm going to 2. I don't know which 2. I think it's going to be Ring of Honor and most likely Dynamite, because Dynamite is at like 4:00.
Oh,
because it's pre-taped. So I would love an afternoon wrestling show, and then I'm at the door by 7:00. I get on that 7:04 to Bayside.
But Tony Khan's going to come out and say, "Don't leave. We have world-class wrestlers coming up," and then it's going to be like Serpentico against somebody in the main event for whatever taping is after.
No. I'm good. I'm fine. 4 to 4, 5, 6, 6:30ish, 7. I'm out the door. I'm done. I got enough.
By the way, apologies to Serpentico. Did not deserve that shot.
No knock on Serpentico.
Yeah.
Yeah, no knock on Serpentico.
Dude, but that's an amazing live wrestling experience for you coming up.
That's the best building. That is my favorite building of all time to watch wrestling. You know what? Hammerstein Ballroom for sure. La Boom on Northern Boulevard in Queens to watch Evolve, and the Elks Lodge. 3 of my favorite buildings here.
And so, how many of them have like that balcony viewing?
I mean, the Elks Lodge has it, but I mean, that's an old building. It's really,
Yeah.
it was a dump. But the Hammerstein is a stunning building. I mean, it's a historical, it's a historical building, the Manhattan Center.
Yeah, that's cool.
How
The
old is
next
it? Let me see. I think
live
it was built in 1911. I think. Let me see. Let's see if Andrew's memory is as good as he thinks it is. 1906.
So the next live show that I'm going to be at is going to be the New Japan show. They always do the what right after Wrestle Kingdom. They do it in San Jose Civic, and the San Jose Civic was built in 1933. So that will be my next show.
Wow.
No, you know what?
I love
take
those
that
old
back.
buildings.
I take that back. I'm not exactly sure because Raw's first Netflix show is at the Intuit Dome in
Are you
LA
thinking about
or
it?
in SoCal. No, I'm not going to that show, but they're coming to San Jose the following week. So I believe I will be at that show.
Dude, that's a stunning building.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean,
That's an incredible
we're
brand
going to
new
get
building.
some copycat arenas based off of that arena, I think.
Yeah. I would imagine.
So yeah, so it'll be Raw and then the New Japan. I forget which one is first, but it's like within the same week or 2 weeks out. So that'll be a lot of live wrestling for me coming up. All right, so the War Games matches are set now. SmackDown spoilers, beware. But the show, and I didn't even realize this, 3 p.m. Pacific start for this show on Saturday.
Yeah, nice
So
and early.
yeah, we're gonna be done. I'm gonna be like, wrestling's over at like 6:30 p.m. my time. What am I gonna do? That's like before
not a
UFC
lot of
shows
matches.
start. No,
not a
like
lot of
6
matches.
probably.
Yeah. So do you think why the 6 p.m. start though? I'm curious because you're moving it up 2 hours, which I'm all for. Is it because of UFC? I don't think there's anything big happening.
I don't think the reason is UFC. I just wonder if they're experimenting to see if the live viewership suffers at all by going an hour too early.
I don't think so. I think this is where we should be going, to be honest. There's no, there was reasons before on why you had an 8 o'clock pay-per-view because you followed the boxing formula. And the boxing formula was always late. The main event didn't go on till about midnight, 11:30, 12 o'clock. That's just how it was, and that's what they followed. But you don't have to follow that. I have nothing left in me. I'm 40. I have nothing left in me to be sitting in an arena at like 10:30 with like 4 matches still happening.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And I feel that a lot of people feel the same way. We're not in the same era as, 20 years ago where you didn't have all these distractions. You didn't have 500 things going on. People want convenience. Baseball moves stuff up. Baseball is a lot quicker of a game. They've moved times now. The Mets have changed their weekend schedule where they're not doing a late night unless it's like one big mega game, but they're not doing it's more afternoon games. They're not doing late night games. I think this is a positive moving it to 6 o'clock. I hope the viewership stays because I would like AEW to move to 6 o'clock too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with it. I think the only negative is that on wrestling nights, like if I still wanted to do stuff with the fam, you get away with doing like a midday movie or errands or shopping or whatever. You have to kind of cut it short with a 3 p.m. pay-per-view for me. So that's the only negative, but I do like getting out of there and like still having like stuff to do at home and time to do stuff. So that I think that's a good thing. So we'll see if they stick with the schedule because they've been playing with the schedule a lot. They've had a lot of international pay-per-views this year. So the schedule has bounced around all throughout the whole year. So maybe they're testing stuff, or there could be another reason why. You know what? What else?
WrestleMania could be an afternoon show. It should be. It should be a 5 o'clock pre-show, 6 p.m. start, or like 6:30. It should be an earlier show because it's so long.
I'd totally be with that.
Yeah.
Completely. So is there anything else on this Survivor Series show that interests you outside of these 2 War Games matches?
I got to tell you, the entire card is really good. I'm going to pull it up here. Survivor Series. The entire card looks really good. I think there's a lot of unique stuff they could do here. Let me just pull up this year's because I had it in me and I lost it. Okay, so look, LA Knight Nakamura, obviously that's a new program that they're building. You're building Braun Breaker. The story is Braun Breaker and Ludwig Kaiser more than anything else.
I don't like
Sheamus
the
is the
three-way,
foil
though.
for that. I don't like
Just
the
sick
three-way
of
either.
three
but
ways and four ways. I'm just tired.
I know.
Of them.
Damian Priest, Gunther. I don't know what direction it's going to go. Most likely Gunther, and then you're going to move Damian to something else. The women's match is interesting because Tiffany Stratton could cash in.
Yeah, she totally could.
She could cash in during the match. I think that would be a very unique thing to do. It's never happened before. Have her cash in. And obviously the men's one, the big story will be Paul Heyman. You know, a lot of people were speculating. He kind of was dressed like Solo with the undershirt over the sports jacket. To me, I didn't even notice that. To me, it looked like he was dressed like he was in Paul Bearer Kane cosplay.
Yeah. He was wearing the red for somebody's bloodline, I'm guessing.
I guess so, for somebody's bloodline.
We'll
so
see. We don't know which one, though.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know if Punk's gonna turn. Very interesting. I'm curious the injection of Punk in this. It's fascinating. You know what match I want to see more than anything else? I want to see Sami Zayn and CM Punk.
That'd be fun. That'd be really fun.
El Generico and Punk. Holy moly!
And Sammy did mention, not everyone gets along with him. Everyone has like an interesting relationship with him. So I like that.
Yeah.
What do you think about Nakamura's getup, by the way?
I don't know. What is he?
Okay.
What's going on?
I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen this anywhere. But when he re-debuted a couple weeks ago, I was like, why does he look like a prequel Jedi from the Star Wars prequels, right?
Yeah.
And then I thought back and I was like, wait a second. What he actually might be referencing is an old Japanese fictional character named Zatoichi. And Zatoichi was the blind swordsman. And George Lucas was very much inspired by Zatoichi for Star Wars stuff. So no one has told me this. No one has said that this is exactly what he's doing. And it may not even be exactly. Maybe he's influenced, but that is my guess. I hope someone figures it out and then can tell us if that's what he's doing or not. Because once I thought about it, I was like, oh, he might be like his character may look a little bit like Zatoichi, which is he's Japanese,
gotta tell you,
obviously. So
Nakamura is fascinating to me. He
just seems like the coolest guy in the world. Like he's just a guy that I just want to go hang out with. Nakamura. Back in the day when I was a single man, I'd just be like, Nakamura pulls all the ladies. I want to go hang out with that guy.
Dude, he was he really reinvigorated my love for pro wrestling. Him and the Bullet Club. I was still covering wrestling, but I loved what they were doing in New Japan in that time frame. It was so refreshing and different and fun to watch. And he came here and they just never did it.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is him, right? Like maybe he doesn't want to be the top guy and do the Cody stuff, and maybe just like I've done all that. I just want to have a good paying job. I want to go surfing and I want to have fun. That could be it as well.
That very well could be it also. I don't know. I found it, sometimes they don't push anybody. I think it'd be different now. If he came in now, it would be a very different Nakamura presentation from the beginning, because I think Hunter has a very different outlook on how to present people on TV. But still, really, really weird that they didn't just hit the throttle with him.
Yeah. Again, I think some of that has to be him. If he would have pressed for it, maybe he could have got it. But
possibly, yeah.
He's also been wrestling at a high level, in using a strong style for a long time. So it could also be just like he's just tired, body speed up, whatever. All right, let's switch gears. Full Gear happened over the weekend. I don't know. Like I have because I watched it on delay. I wasn't watching it live with everyone else, so I couldn't see everyone's live reactions to the matches and stuff. So my view of it is maybe a little bit different. But what did you think of the live card and the experience? Were people into it? Were you into it? Like, what were your thoughts?
The whole which part you broke up? I'm sorry.
Just the show in general. As you were watching it, did it feel
Um,
hot? Did it feel like a great pay-per-view as you were watching it?
I think if the crowd was better, and I spoke to a lot of people I knew were there, and they were telling me that no, the crowd is hot for a lot of things, but there were times that they were just dead. I mean, that
Mhm.
Mercedes match, they were
Yeah.
not that loud for that. Um, Even during the Bobby Lashley stuff, they were not that hot. They were totally dead for Ricochet and Takeshita. You know who they were not dead for?
Who?
The Boom. That was, by
Yes.
the way, I'm sorry. I gotta talk about it. I don't know how you feel about this.
I have
Before I
some
say
I
how I
have
feel.
some information, but I will let you get
Okay.
your takes off because I literally
Okay.
had no idea who these dudes were 3 weeks ago, and I have
Okay.
learned a
So
lot
I
about them
know.
since.
I've known who they are, right?
Yeah.
I got young kids. I love TikTok. Like I consume so much of that shit when I'm on the train, you know. Um, I knew who they were. Is it my content? Is it something I'm into? No. It's not my content. Is it annoying? Yeah, but that's why people watch it. However, I'm going to show you the power of this, okay? I put
Okay.
out a tweet or an
Mhm.
X. I'm going to read you what I wrote, and I want you to guess how many people liked it, okay? Let's find this. I quote tweeted a Fightful post, and it's Tony and the Costco guys, and they're like making the muscle, you know? I wrote, as a father, I love that he's able to give his kid this incredible experience.
Mhm.
That's what matters at the end of the day. 12,000 likes.
Okay.
A half a
Here's
million
my
views.
question. Here's my question.
Yeah.
I understand the influencer piece of this. That is the addicting piece of it for them, I'm sure, the increased popularity. Are we putting some of these funds away for Big Justice's college? Because
I think
you know,
so.
this
Yeah, I think
influencer
so.
stuff doesn't last, right?
Well, I
But
watched this
then
interview. You know, they're doing him and the daughter are doing like hybrid school because they've gotten so popular, but they're making money. They're
yeah.
making a lot of money, and you know, there's a lot of people like, oh, he's doing this for himself. How do you know the kid? He's forcing the kid. You don't know any of that. We don't know any. Stop pushing your own nonsense onto it. You know, like we don't know any of this. All I see is, you know, this kid and the father, and they're having a good time, and they're doing these silly videos. And guess what? This guy lived his dream. He got to perform in front of 10,000 people in his home state as an indie wrestler that was nothing. You know, he was just the guy. Still doing this on the weekends. And all of a sudden, because something blew up, he got to live his dream, and that's wrestle on a pay-per-view. How could you not be happy for those guys? I mean, to me, listen, and I'm a big critic, right? I don't like the snookies. I don't like the celebrity injection in wrestling. I'm one of those guys. I mean, truly, I say it all the time. The Kevin Federlines, like,
You
I'm
know
not
who
for
may be
that,
looking
but
f you know who might be looking for work?
who?
All the Vanderpump Rules folks, because they just canceled the whole show and said they're gonna recast the whole thing. So anybody who's been on Vanderpump Rules, Tom
Yeah.
Sandoval showing up on an AEW television show near you.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Listen, if it works, it works, and I think this worked. I think this got a lot of media attention. Tony has all those analytics. He saw what those numbers are like when those guys were putting out videos. 10 and a half, almost 11 million views for that segment on Dynamite or whatever it was. I think it was Dynamite. That's
Rampage might have been
incredible.
might have been
Rampage.
Ramp or
That's
actually, the
incredible.
Dynamite one was with Private Party. The Rampage one was the weigh-in with, QT.
Yeah, maybe that. I don't know which one it was, but I think that's incredible. Did it hurt anybody? No, it didn't take a spot from anybody. It brought some sort of excitement. What a great way to start your show. Last match on the pre-show, no harm done. People loved it. That building erupted. The freaking Rizzler. You know what the sweetest moment was? just that sweet little chubby boy holding the Big Show's hand as they walk down the ramp. It was
Yes.
the sweetest. I melted. And Paul has this big grin on his face. Like it's adorable.
It
We
was
don't need
like
blood and guts every aspect of wrestling. Sometimes a cute moment like this, it works.
it was like Andre the Giant and Stephanie McMahon. That's what it reminded me.
It was Andre the Giant and Stephanie McMahon. You know what? I think that's the greatest.
Okay, can you explain this to me? So first
Yeah.
off, Monday or Sunday or Monday, my oldest, who's 25, he's like, "How come you've never interviewed Big AJ?" And I was like, "Should I have? Like, how would I have even
Get
had
him
the
now.
thought to interview him?"
Let's
And
bring him on.
he's like, "Well, I know he did wrestling." I was like, "Yeah, he just did the wrestling." And he's like, "Well, actually, I take that back." He's like, "You actually do serious stuff, and he stays in character, so you would just be frustrated the whole interview." I was like, "Yeah, you're probably right." So fast forward, my stepkids, we're at dinner, and I go, "Do you know who these Costco guys are?" And he's like, the one of the twins, Asher. He goes, "Yep," and he starts doing all the catchphrases about the
Double
double
chunk
chunk.
chocolate cookie. Yeah.
Just started doing all of them and did all the booms, and I was like, okay, could you have given me this information like 3 weeks ago? Like, I could have utilized this information on podcasts and stuff to say that, my kids know who these guys are. And not, it's everything is niche these days. Like the 11 million views and stuff is still to probably a very centralized demographic. But at the same time, here's my question to you
Yeah.
as a marketer. We like to test your marketing brain.
Yes.
So like you said, they went on the pre-show. It doesn't hurt anybody. I don't think it turned anybody away. I thought the weigh-in was very amateurish and not a good segment, but it didn't need to be. Like, just the fact that they were on
Yeah.
that show was interesting enough. It was interesting enough for me because I watched it. There was a little bit of, let's put the pinky toe in the water with these guys, I think, by putting them on the pre-show. Now, I'm not saying that AJ and QT needed to be the main event of Full Gear. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, there's this saying in companies like, experiment quickly or break shit and move on or whatever it is. And I thought, if they really thought that this demographic could actually help their popularity in some way, I would have actually possibly gone a little bit bigger with these guys and maybe put them on the pay-per-view as an experiment to see if people would pay for it. Now, I'm going to guess the hypothesis was no, because they didn't put them on the pay-per-view. My guess is the hypothesis was, these guys do content for free. Why would people pay for it, especially if these are younger kids? But as you and I remember, when we were kids and there was a pay-per-view and Hulk Hogan was on, we were like, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm 12. I don't have a job. Can you pay this $30 so I can watch Hulk Hogan?" That's how
So
the whole
here's a
thing
question for
works.
you. Was there ever a celebrity on a pay-per-view that you said, "Oh my God, I got to order this because I want to see what they do"? There's only one that I could think of. For me, right? There's two historically for WrestleMania. There's two celebrities.
I was watching everything anyways, so there wasn't going to be anything that prompted me to buy because I was buying anyways, or seeing it through other means, like the old black box that we talked about. But I think
The
the ones
Pioneer.
that Mr. T was very influential into pro wrestling being on my radar. 100%.
Okay, so you're a little bit older than me.
Yeah.
Was that because I missed that, right? That you're talking 1980 was
1984, 85. Yeah.
85.
Because,
So I
18
know,
is a
like,
giant show.
Mr. T was a big part of like the right at the cusp, right? For me, like my cousins were big fans. Same with G.I. Joe. I didn't get into G.I. Joe because I had everything else. I knew Mr. T. I knew the importance of Mr. T. It wasn't like my world because I would have been too small.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, I mean, like my teenager, Mike Tyson was a huge part of that WrestleMania.
Tyson
that
is
contributed to that buy. Tyson was
And
the big one.
as we've seen, how many years later does the big Netflix number, like that brand, that Tyson brand, for whatever reason, still does business? But I'll even tell you, before
500 billion people watch that. Watch that. Did you know that? 500 billion people.
Okay, so if not for Rocky 3, I would have never known Hulk Hogan or made the comparison of like, oh, that's the same guy. Because Rocky 3 is probably my favorite movie of all time, and a movie that I probably watched 100 times. So
Yeah.
even before Mr. T is Rocky, where Hogan is on it, like you said, Mike Tyson, definitely a really big deal. And then, Floyd Mayweather to a lesser extent, but again, I'm already dialed in. So Floyd Mayweather,
you're already.
I'm going to watch anyways. But, you could almost look at it and say The Rock in WrestleMania 27, 28, and 29, he was a bigger star worldwide than he was a wrestling star. So that was kind of, and we saw it again just, last year. So yeah, like, I think it works. But it's just the monetization of the product is so different these days. AEW is still on pay-per-view. Maybe if they were on Max at a lesser price, maybe they would have taken the chance to see if AJ versus QT could have actually drawn some buys. But I don't know, for whatever reason, they didn't try that.
Right, like as a marketer, right? As a marketer, and I'm going to put my Tony Khan hat on. Okay, here we go. Oh crap, my booking brain is working. As marketing wise, this was a total success. Okay, I've spoken to people there. Everybody thought it was a total success. They were very sweet, like very nice guys. Okay, QT did a great job with this, but I think everybody knew with the optics of AEW currently, you cannot put this on the pay-per-view, and nor should you. Okay, you should not have put this on. Now the second go around, if it's intriguing enough, maybe it wouldn't hurt. You could maybe experiment with it. I still wouldn't. I would still leave it for a pre-show, because the purpose of having them there is not that you want kids to tell their parents to buy a $50 pay-per-view. You're right. I don't think that's going to work, but those kids are the YouTube generation. That's where this show is airing. It's on YouTube.
That's how I bought it.
Yeah. Did you buy the pay-per-view on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
You did? Okay, great. Great example. I bought it twice. I bought it on Triller, and I gave it to the guys to watch. And then I ordered mine because you could only have like 2 streams, right?
Right.
I ordered mine on YouTube. But I'm thinking, as a marketer, right? Who's their demo? It's a younger audience, far younger than me. You're talking 30 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
They do not have buying power. They don't have advertising power, but they have influence over other people. It's the word of mouth. My kids' friends all know who they are, and they were asking them all these questions because they know I do the wrestling stuff. They were all intrigued. And when my kids are asking me to put on AEW, which they never do, they're not familiar with the product. Not that it's a bad product. They just listen. When you have action figures, and WWE has done a great job at creating comic book characters for 40 years. It's a really difficult thing for a kid to go from watching these. Just the presentation alone is humongous, to watching like a normal guy wrestle. Right? It's a different optic for them. Those are the kids that you need, because that's how you create your next generation of fans. You know why I'm a wrestling fan? This is the exact reason why. Okay? This is it. Yep. This is why I love wrestling. There's no other reason. There was no entry point for me to say, oh no, you know what it was. It was that Bret Hart and it was that British Bulldog and Bret Hart in 1992 in Wembley. As a kid, I watched it and I said, my God, this is something I want to dedicate a lot of my free time to. Yeah. No, it was, holy moly, these are real life action figures.
Yeah.
Because you're a child. And guess what? 30 years later, 35 years later, 40 years later, I'm still here. I'm still consuming this media. That's why this is important. Now, are they that big of a draw? No, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it makes a difference for ratings. But in the vacuum that it was in, it was a total success. Total success to a demo that doesn't even think about AEW. It doesn't exist for them. So they did do something positive.
So my counter to that would be, during the Monday Night War era of wrestling, the one thing WWF had, was the younger audience. Now, the younger audience in 1997 is a little bit different than the younger audience in 2024 because of this one thing called the internet. WWF could do, the short skirts and the sexual things with the characters, mostly women, right? If we're being honest, even though the men are constantly with their shirts up, they were sexualizing the women, which caused young boys to want to stay up and watch some of this stuff. And oh, by the way, they also wanted to see Stone Cold Steve Austin beat up the bad guys. So that young demographic, I don't think we can actually get back to the reason why some of those kids got into wrestling. But let's say you're right in that the 10 through 14-year-olds, I'm guessing mostly male, though it's possible that they attract young women as well to watch these videos. How can we test if we can actually get those people to watch the free television show? Like, what ways could we possibly do that? I would be interested in that. Again, they went low risk with Rampage, with QT. They did the interview, which was the short segment, but then when they actually did the weigh-in, it was not on Dynamite, it was on Rampage, which kind of makes sense. It's only the day before. But I would like to see, I'm sure Tony would like to see, okay, couldn't we, the one demo that they're having so much trouble with right now is the 18 to 35. Now, this probably doesn't fit in that demographic, but this would fit in a younger demographic. If the 18 to 35 ain't working, I'm sure younger than that is not working as well. But these would be things I would like to know. And I think you can experiment with them, and you can utilize, I'm guessing, I'm actually interested in your thoughts on this. The Costco guys, Big AJ, I'm sure AEW gets as much or more benefit from him than he does from AEW, as far as the visibility of his social stuff, right?
Yeah, I think AEW benefited more than he's going to benefit. Listen, for him, very cool that he's able to do this with his family in the front row.
Absolutely.
There's no value you can put on that. The fact that this local independent professional wrestler from 20 years ago was able to figure out some bizarre side career. I don't know what his main job is. I have no idea. My wife said that he looks like a retired sanitation from Bergen County, New Jersey. Now, I don't know if that's true, okay? I don't know if any of that is true, but very possible. But AEW did benefit because they were able to tap into an audience that has no idea what AEW is. Now, whether or not you were able to retain that audience, that's on you now. You got them to tune in. Tuning in is the hardest part. Now they're aware. There's brand awareness, and that's very valuable. People pay a lot of money for brand awareness to be able to get influencers to talk about the product, and they don't even equate the sales into this. So he lived his dream. He did in front of his family. There's hundreds, tens of millions of people that have watched these videos with them talking about AEW. AEW benefited for sure, 100%. I can't be mad at that. Now, is he going to have 5-star matches? Are we going to talk about match rating and match quality? No, but sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it's just about the marketing, and it's professional
that's
wrestling.
essentially what QT said. QT said, I don't give a shit about stars. I don't give a shit about cage match. I just cared about what the audience thought there live. Like, that's who we did it for. And he thought it was
that
giant
audience
success.
loved it.
Okay, here's another way you could experiment, though. I get it. The development time with this stuff takes forever, but if they could turn around something quickly and you get a Big AJ action figure out in the toy stores or in the Target, I bet you it would not. It would sell better than most of the characters that they have out there.
So, I would love a Big AJ like action figure. I would buy it in a heartbeat. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and I would buy it. You know what? You know what this is good to compare it to? What did NXT do? NXT had somebody that went viral on TikTok astronomically. Sexy Red.
Mm.
Did that help or hurt?
I would guess it somewhat helped.
I think this was a far more successful, shotgun approach to getting external marketing about your product. I think this was far better than the Sexy Red stuff because people were very turned off by that. Not for any other reason. I mean, she's a wacko, but I think that was more of a negative. The feedback was more of a negative than I saw for this. Even though there was so much negativity around this, I think people realized that the approach worked for this. And I'm not even talking about, like, listen, she didn't wrestle. Yeah, but she was still on the show. And they were selling that point, that she was on the show multiple times. This was a very different experiment, and I think that this experiment worked. But it's comparable. These are both TikTok stars. That's how they both, blew up.
Mm-hmm. We need to get the Rizzler to cut like a rap album or something. Can you explain the Rizzler to me, by the way? I don't think I've heard him talk, and all he does is scratch his face. Like, what is the...
He's a chubby little boy. He's not scratching his face. He's doing the Riz face. He's a little chubby boy from New Jersey, and he went viral for wearing a Black Panther outfit, and he's like running around his house, and his father's like, climb the ladder, and he's like, nah, mom's gonna be really mad. I can't climb the ladder. I'll get hurt. He's a 7-year-old boy. And it just went viral, and then they linked up these two, and now they have a song.
It's amazing. The Rizzler. What does the Rizzler mean?
He's doing the Riz face. Riz. He has Riz, dude.
Okay.
He has game.
Okay, now I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah.
And
he does the Riz face. He does.
I understand that Riz is new lingo.
New lingo, dude.
See, to me, Riz means something completely different from when I was a kid. Just nickname or something. I was like, oh, Anthony Rizzo's his favorite baseball player, of course. But no, it has nothing.
Of course.
It's nothing
Like
that.
Anthony Rizzo. He's a huge Anthony Rizzo fan.
Yeah. He must love Greece. Somebody showed this young boy Betty Rizzo from Greece. Nope.
Oh, here we go. John in the chat room. Okay, boomer.
Yeah, exactly. John, by the way, John has no idea what any of this stuff is either. So,
producer John.
Oh yeah. Well,
producer
anybody
John.
In that chat. Yeah, anybody in that chat.
I don't think producer John had an idea who the Rizzler was until recently.
Well, I mean, he can answer.
Can I
for
tell
himself.
you? I have watched that match. Okay, I have watched that match. I'm not, no exaggeration, about 7 times. My wife walks in the room, and I'm showing my daughter. And he goes, Mom, did you see this? He goes, yeah. Your father has played it about 18 times. I think he has like another 40 in him. And she walked out of the room.
That's hilarious. All right, let's so we didn't even talk about this pay-per-view. We just talked about the Costco
let's do
guys. Anything I mean, the Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay match was fantastic.
Remarkable. Yeah. He's that guy is, both of them, right? Both of them are remarkable. I thought that was tremendous. I thought the Mercedes match was good. I thought very good. Let me just say that. I like the swerve and the Bobby Lashley stuff. A mutual friend of ours actually messaged me about this because I constantly joke and I say Bobby Lashley's from the planet of rocks, right? Because he's just like chiseled. Yeah. And this mutual friend messaged me. He goes, "You have no idea. Take a headlock from him, and you feel every rock in that man's body."
I can imagine, dude.
Yeah,
like this dude looks the exact same from when he was like 20 years old. Like exactly the same.
Yeah.
Facially, body-wise.
Not one follicle on that man's body.
No. It's insane.
Just so smooth.
What do you like? Okay, so coming into this show, my main thought coming into this show was, we have these matches. Some of them are going to be pretty good. Some of them look like storyline setups, like Swerve and Bobby Lashley.
I like that. Bobby Strickland. That's a great wrestling name.
But the main event, I thought there had to be some storyline momentum coming out of the main event to kind of set the stage for the next few weeks of television. And they tried. And they tried in a way where it was like somebody just went like, let's allow all of my brainstorms to become reality all in one segment on professional wrestling show. Like, no filters, whatever comes out of this brainstorm, we're doing. And they did all of it. My thought was, if you had switched Hangman and Jay White and put Hangman over and then had Hangman nose to nose with Mox to end the show, that would have been good enough. And I'd have been pumped.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I would have been pumped for Wednesday's television to see where they go.
But
so they did that. And I was like, okay, he just lost, but okay, I still I'm intrigued. And then it was just everyone else and their mom came out. And I was like, okay, I'm not that intrigued anymore.
Okay, so I have a couple theories here, right? I did not like that ending of the show.
No.
Okay, that's just me. I would have loved it if it was Dynamite. That would have been a great cliffhanger ending to Dynamite, because now it's like, what are they going to do next? I saw what they were attempting on doing, right? They attempted to tell you every contender for that world title right now. You had Hangman, you had Jay White, you had Christian, you have Moxley, you have Darby Allin. These are all the people that are going to be gunning for this title. Much like how you would have those big schmazes at the end of wrestling, like Raw or whatever, where it would be The Undertaker, then Austin, then Triple H, and this one goes out and that one goes out.
Okay, let me stop you for 1 second.
Five-way. Yeah, go ahead.
Just 1 second, because I like what you just said. But we just saw Takeshita beat Ricochet, and we just saw Bobby Lashley beat the hell out of Swerve. Should those guys not be at the top of that list based on the pay-per-view that we just saw?
Yeah, I listen, I agree with you. I think those guys should be on the top of something, but I did the math, right? This is a company with 10 top players that could be world champion tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. Here's a list. Kenny Omega, right? He's going to come back. Kenny, MJF, Swerve, Jay White, Hangman Page, Bobby Lashley, Adam Copeland. Now Christian has that title. Will Ospreay, Okada, and I'm sure I'm missing people here.
I mean, there are people on the ascent too, like Fletcher. He's not there yet, but he did get the giant win, which should have put him at that level, I think.
But let's just go with people that are not even on the right. They are there. These are people that have been established. I've never seen a company have that much of that. And John Moxley. I'm sorry, John Moxley. I forgot Moxley. And the focus is so all over the place, right? So to me, if this was WWE, right? Let's say this is WWE. I would say, oh my God, World's End is like a five-way. It has to be. It has to be, because you established all of these people are gunning for this title. What are you going to do now? You're just going to say, "Oh no, it was just to end the show"? No, you have to go in some direction to tell you, why is Hangman getting involved with John Moxley?
Yeah.
And siding with Christian, I guess because it was like, I'll give you the title shot, but like, why was he out there to begin with? You're absolutely right. If it was done differently, where he won it and then he went out, I think I understand what they tried to do, but I don't think it executed well for me. But that's me. I don't know. A lot of people loved it. Rich loved the ending.
I'll just play devil's advocate and say, if you have 10 contenders, you don't have any contenders. Like, why do you have 10? Well, because there's not one. Samoa Joe could also be in there when he comes back, former world champion. And I think that's my main issue, is what I want as a viewer. I want it laid out, and I always compare this to the NWO just because this is what it reminds me of. But pretty shortly after Sting put on that makeup, we were like, okay, he's going to be the guy. We are building to Sting and Hulk Hogan. And that's going to be the end game. Like, we knew that very early on, and they took their time to tell that story and to get there. And then they got cold feet at the end, oddly. I would love for the Dynamite and the Collision storytelling to be, okay, who's going to be the end boss here? I know a lot of people are like, it's going to be Darby. And I'm like, great.
That's a big mistake.
I don't remember Sting getting his ass kicked on television before he got a world title shot. Yeah. Like, I don't remember that. Maybe it happened and I forgot, but I don't remember that.
I'm going to tell you, I think Darby Allin winning that title, I don't know. Again, I don't know if he's going to win it. Should he win it eventually? I think that'll work if you do a captivating story. Should he win it now in one of your most crucial years, entering this new era of AEW? No, I don't think you should, because you want the optics to tell the story. You have The Rock on the other channel. Okay, January's coming. You have The Rock. You're gonna have Steve Austin. You're gonna have Triple H. You're gonna have all these people show up again. You're gonna have The Undertaker show up again, and then you got their roster of giants. Everybody's so much bigger now. And then you're gonna flip the channel, and Darby Allin's your world champion. And again, I hate to say that, because that's not how I think. Little guys have a huge place in wrestling. Bryan Danielson's my favorite wrestler ever.
Yeah,
probably. Most likely today, if you ask me today, Bryan Danielson is the greatest professional wrestler I've ever seen. In person, on TV, I'm just such a fan of that human being.
Mm-hmm.
Is Darby Allin the guy right now? Should he be the world champion? With the 10 people that I listed for you. Not you, the audience. I listed 10 monsters in the world of professional wrestling. Should Darby Allin be the guy?
Not based on the story that they're telling right now. Not to me. So then, out of those 10 that you just named, I think we could probably make it even a bigger list, depending on what happens. Who's the hero? And this is what John LaRocca and I talked about last week, which is AEW needs a hero, but I don't know who that is. Who is that hero? Is it Kenny? Can you depend on Kenny? Kenny's coming off of a major health issue. Can you depend on him to be the hero? And he's not a young man, but at least he's established.
Yeah.
Who is it? I don't know.
That's actually interesting.
Out of all those people, I don't know who the right
Will
pick
Ospreay.
is. I think that's bad.
Maybe Will. Maybe it's Will. Will is a babyface. Again, but Will is really, he's a dick, right? They don't really have... Kenny's a babyface, right? We know that Kenny's a good guy, and he's an advocate for people, and he's, he rah-rahs people.
Nicest guy to ever interview, by the way.
Nicest guy ever, right? But everybody else is a dick. And listen, they're heels. The line is blurred. I get it, but you need a babyface, and they're not a babyface territory. And look, the heels won on that show.
Almost all of them.
Almost all, yeah, almost everything except for Big AJ. Hey, Big AJ, biggest baby. You know what? Big AJ is the biggest baby face they have, dude.
He's the one whose booking was pitch perfect. He must have pull. He must have pull with Tony Khan. So if you're telling me it's going to be Omega, I want to see those footprints in the sand set for who knows how long down the line. I just want to see that story told. I want to see all of the ups and downs to that story. Tell us that story. Who's the hero? I'm looking forward to it, but I don't think we've even seen anything that would lead us to believe that they have a chosen one.
I know we're out of time, but this conversation is really intriguing to me. I want to know, like, in your opinion, right? Your opinion. Who should be the world champion leading this company into 2025 or continuing 2025 into this, rebuilding of AEW now that the contract is done?
I would agree with you that it's probably Will, or maybe it's Will's to lose. Personally, I would rather see Omega in that role. I just think Omega has more out of the ring charisma than Will does. and I think he's just more impressive and unique of an individual. Not to say Will isn't, because I think Will is a
Yeah.
pretty intriguing dude. But I just have a really high. I'm just high on Omega as that. So let's go back to the origin story of AEW. I had a thesis statement before AEW started that said, if they do this thing right, Kenny Omega will be the most unique pro wrestling star we have ever seen. And I don't think they did it right. He finally wins the title when he's a heel. There's a pandemic. There's reasons. But he's not the first champion. He loses to Jericho. Then eventually he gets it. But I wanted to see if New Japan Kenny Omega could actually transfer over onto American television. And I don't think we ever got that answer. And it's sad to me that we never got that answer, because that was the character that I wanted to ride with, and we never got it. So maybe that's the answer. Maybe you do that today in 2024, 2025, and you rekindle that specialness, that absolute uniqueness that he provides, and you run with it for the savior of the company. I would be down for that. I think Will's a fantastic second person.
I think Will's a fantastic. If you want to do something really wacky, okay, I would have Christian win that title, and everybody's going to hate it. Here comes Adam Copeland as a spoil. Copeland takes it off of him at the next pay-per-view. You build a program between Kenny and Adam Copeland, because that's a unique match that we've never seen. And then Kenny is the champion for Will Ospreay to beat for the title. I would go totally in that direction. If they because they feel like, I feel like they want to do something with Christian.
So you don't think the current Thanos, Jon Moxley as Thanos, you don't think this is going to last very long?
I don't think so. I don't think this is lasting too long. I just based on things that I've known, and the direction that they were planning on going in, or what they wanted to do. I don't think that Moxley, and I don't think Moxley is, advocating that he needs to be world champion to do the story. I think Moxley is their safe net where it's, oh shit, Danielson has to go. Max is, filming a movie. Swerve is in this program with Lashley. Okay, just put on Mox. That's what they do every time. And again, Mox is fantastic, but I don't think he's politicking to hold that title for, 8 months. I think he sees the importance of, okay, we need to start kicking ass. It's not about me having the title. It's about this company doing well.
I think he saw the importance of, we need a restart here, and we need to create some baby faces. Now how they're getting there and how they're doing that, hasn't happened yet.
I love Orange Cassidy. I am reformed about this guy. I was not a fan of the gimmick. I got the gimmick. I was not a fan of the gimmick, and then I love it now. But he's not the guy. He's not the guy to beat Jon Moxley and be the world champion and do the interviews and be the face. Again, I'm going to use an old reference, to be on the cover of TV Guide. Who's your world champion to put on TV Guide?
Mm-hmm.
Many people in our audience have no idea. Is it Darby Allin? Is it? Is it the spooky kid? Is it the kid that puts his hands in his pocket, which is hysterical? I call him a kid because he's younger than Jon Moxley. He's older than Jon Moxley. He just looks incredible.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I'm saying someone that doesn't know the product. It's a very unique year they're going into. Very, very unique year. And there's a lot of mistakes that they could make. I hope they don't make those mistakes.
Give me some Omega, man. That's my answer today is Omega.
Yeah. You got to get it over with. Omega has to come back. He never had that real Omega world title run that all of us wanted. He was tied in with the Callis stuff, and he was a heel, and it was during the pandemic. It changed the trajectory, really. That when you turned him heel like that, it really changed everything. And it was still entertaining, but it wasn't Kenny Omega from New Japan. It was this new thing. You also have Okada, and you got to do something with Okada at this point. You can't have him go out there and do his jokes and just disappear. Now it's time.
Well, at least we'll get to see him wrestle in the Continental Classic. That's coming up. So we'll get to see him do some, their television matches. for the most part until
Yeah.
unless we get to the
But listen,
finals.
can't he be AEW World Champion? You know, wouldn't that be great? He beats Kenny for the title, and then maybe you don't want Kenny and Osprey. Maybe it's Osprey that beats him.
Mm-hmm.
Beats Okada for the world title. You know, there's so many different avenues because your talent pool is so gigantic, like humongous. And this is one of those things, right? When you have an all-star team, you know, who do you pass the ball to? And maybe
Yeah.
that's Tony's problem. He
Yeah.
doesn't know. Or maybe he does, and it may not be what the audience wants.
Right. No, I mean, thanks to everyone for sticking around with us for an extra few minutes. But I wanted to end this by saying that I believe this website is doing the Black Friday thing again, which they do one time a year for, you know, one day or one weekend where you get a discount price for this website. And I think what we're going to do now, this show is always free on YouTube. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this show free on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts too, because we have subscription versions on those platforms. So we'll make that free, and we'll also do that for the Fight Game podcast, which goes up on Thanksgiving, though it's pre-recorded, so we've already done it. But basically, saying that, you know, we're going to have some free content on this website and on all of our channels this week to promote the Black Friday special for F4W Online. And then I'm not sure if Dave and I are doing a show on Friday yet, which is actually Black Friday. But if we do, we'll probably make that show available on YouTube, if possible, and on some of these other places. So there should be some free content on our channels coming to folks who maybe they're, you know, haven't ever sampled us before or whatever. So we'll get a lot of that stuff up this week. But Andrew, I want to say as we close out on this show, want you and the family to have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Also, producer
Same to you.
John, you know, with you, hopefully you have a great Thursday as well. And to all the audience, you know, we'll have content up on Thursday. I'm going to put a Fight Game podcast where we watched, you'll love this one, Survivor Series 1989.
Oh, nice.
And we recapped the show. And because I'm reading Dave's book on the 89 Observers, I had all of the stuff going into that show and all the stuff, news stuff and scoop stuff coming out of that show. So it's a nice little before, then Survivor Series, a little bit of the aftermath. So if you are a fan of that show, or if you want to watch it between now and Thursday so that you could listen to the recap that John LaRocca and I have, it will be there for you whenever you need it. So thanks again, Andrew, for producer John. See you when we see you. Great holiday. Peace out.